Recording going. So welcome everybody. For those of you that are new and we haven't met yet, my name is Brittany Hayes and I'm your Presidential Diamond Upline. And I'm just super excited to just share some things with you guys tonight that are on my heart that I really want to share with you guys as we go into 2019. So one thing that I just felt really convicted and led to just share with you guys tonight is just about vision and just having a clear vision for where you're going this year. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with the Bible verse that, where there's no vision, the people perish. And if there's one thing that I've learned throughout my 2.5 years in the business, it's that whenever we don't cling tight to our vision and we don't stay super laser focused on our vision, that is when we start noticing our progress kind of halting or our progress slowing down. And so I encourage you, as we go into this year, really commit to going into this year, holding tight to what you want for this year. So a couple of things I wanted to lead with before we just really dive in is just ask yourself, what do you want out of this year? What do you really, really want? Not just that blanketed statement that you tell people really quick, but ask yourself, what do you really, really want? If you could have anything, if money was no object, what would you actually want? I've been listening to a book called Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. My word for the year is relentless. And I just felt like this was a great book to get started off with the year. And he just talks so heavily in the book about, as you can imagine, being obsessed with what you want, being obsessed with the next level, being obsessed with always growing. And so one thing that I wanted to kind of talk about is something that I heard Pam Souter talk about whenever I was probably a Ruby. I started 2017, so 2 years ago. I started January 2017 as a Ruby. And by the end of this month, I double promoted to Diamond. And one thing that she said really helped get my wheels turning and helped just shape just the way that I worked with my family throughout the year. And it's something that I felt just really strongly about sharing with all of you guys. So one thing she said is that if you want your family to be completely on board with where you're going and the goals that you have in your heart, you have to include them on it. You have to let them be a part of, making the dream board. You have to let them be a part of just the race that you're setting forth to run. And so what we did was we started 2017 and we got our dream board out. And as Zach and I were, talking about the dreams on our heart, even the things that were scary that we didn't want to tell people, like move to the beach, which we did that summer, we got our kids in and we said, okay, and mostly it was just the older kids. I've got 5 kids for those of you that don't know. So it was really just the 2 older ones that really participated, kind of my third a little bit. But we asked them, we said, if you could do anything this year, what would you want to do? And they said they wanted to go to Disney World. They said they really wanted to go to private school. And then there was a couple other small things that they said. And so we started writing the things that they said down. We printed off a picture of Disney World. We wrote down private school for them. And after we finished the dream board, we hung our dream board up in our living room above our couch. And so what this did, you guys, was as I was working hard and Zach was, working and helping me behind the scenes and, answering our team's questions and just we were getting on Zooms together and everything that goes into this business, both, in the spotlight and behind the scenes. Our kids saw it as, okay, this is what's going to get us to go to Disney World. This is going to be, what allows us to go to private school, etc. And so what it cultivated was an environment where my kids were excited about me working. If I was, okay, mommy's going to go in and do a coaching call, they were excited. If I said, hey, hold on 1 second, let me finish this post, and then we can go read a story. They were like, okay, awesome. And my kids always had such a great attitude from that moment forward about anything I needed to do with work, because they saw that as wow, this is exciting stuff. When mommy works, these are the things that get to happen. And throughout the year, we not only crossed off the dreams that we had put on there, but we also crossed off their dreams. September of 2017, we took them to Disney World, paid in cash. First time any of my kids had ever been. August of 2017, we enrolled them in private school. And so they got to see their dreams come to fruition as a result of, mommy and daddy's hard work. And so I wanted to share that with you guys, especially if you're new and, you're getting in this process, you're getting in this groove and, your family is, getting adjusted, your kids are getting adjusted to the new routine. Look at it from that angle of sitting them down and getting them involved. Maybe it's your husband. Maybe your husband just doesn't quite understand what you're doing. Sit him down and be like, okay, I know you don't understand everything that I'm doing, but what would you want out of this? When I make it big, because I plan on going nonstop, straight to the top, I'm not quitting, I'm not going anywhere. What do you want? What are dreams that, maybe you haven't ever spoken out loud? And sit down and really include the family, because I promise you, when you get your family involved and you guys are all dreaming together and you're putting these things out there that maybe seem kind of crazy, maybe seem kind of outlandish, that is when you're going to find that you have this just incredible, exciting environment in your house where everybody's on board. And I can just tell you from firsthand experience, when you have each other, when you're locked arms with each other, it just makes it so much easier to, work together and to, put in the work on those days when things aren't quite going right and when, the going gets tough. One of the things that the book I'm listening to, and kind of hopping back and forth, Be Obsessed or Be Average, one of the things that Grant Cardone said in the book that I thought was so crazy, because Stephanie Dunn said something so similar. I wrote it down last night on the Zoom last night for those of you that were on. And those of you that weren't on, I'll kind of catch you up on what she was saying. But he said in the book, he said, how much money would you need to do the things you want to do without even thinking about it? He said, like, the things that you would want to do to live a comfortable life, like how much money would you need to make it happen? And he said, don't just say the amount you think you're supposed to say, like, go ahead, say the real amount. And then he said, how much money would you need to make to be able to give and make a difference in the world the way that you would like to? And he asked a third variation of that question. And he said at the end, the answer shouldn't have been the same to all of those. The answer should have been a little bit different for all of those. And he said, now ask yourself, am I willing to work as hard as it takes to make it happen? And when I was listening to this a few days ago, I got the chills, because I'm like, okay, I know what the answer is to these things. Like, I know what I want. And yes, I am willing to make it happen. And he went on to say, if you know the answer to all those questions, like you have a clear answer of what you would want, and then the second answer is that yes, you are willing to make it happen, then there's no reason you can't make it happen. Well, what's so crazy is, and those of you that were on the Zoom with Stephanie, you already know what I'm about to say. She said almost the exact same thing, which I think is so powerful, because success leaves clues. Grant Cardone, multi-millionaire. And we got Joel and Stephanie Dunn, Black Diamonds, #1 income earners. But Stephanie Dunn said, what do you really want out of this year? What do you want to end this year as? What do you want to start 2020 as? Write it down. I literally wrote it down on a piece of paper, something that, seems really scary to me. I want to be a millionaire with It Works by January 2020. And she said, now write down, are you willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen? And I wrote down yes underneath. But I just sat there after the Zoom was over, and I just was looking at that. I'm like, how crazy is it that literally, like, back to back 2 days in a row, from two people I look up to so much, they basically said the same thing. And I think that there's just such a magnitude to take away from that it really is that simple, you guys. Write down what you want and then ask yourself, am I willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen? One thing, I listened to a book called Sun Stand Still by Stephen Furtick in 2018. And one thing he said, stop saying things like hope, like hopefully, oh, I hope so. He was like, faith isn't content to hope for it, even hope for it a lot. Like, faith works for it. They work for it, and they walk in a way that they know it's already going to happen, because they're going to do what they need to do. And so I want to encourage you guys, as we go into 2019, stop saying hope, and stop just like loosely throwing around the concept of faith, but walk in faith and put in the work. Because when we say things like, oh, I hope it's going to happen. I really hope I'm diamond by the end of the year. I really hope I'm, triple diamond by the end of the year. I really hope I'm ambassador diamond by the end of the year. Like, that's nice and all, but you're saying it in a way that you don't really believe it's going to happen. And when you don't actually believe it's going to happen, it's not actually going to happen. And so I encourage you, like, take hope in that regard out of your vocabulary this year, and start saying things like, I will make it happen. I am 100% committed to doing what I need to do to make it happen. There will be people who will walk away. There will be people who will give up on their dreams. They'll throw in the towel when they're 6 inches from goal, but that doesn't mean you have to. And if you're committed to not being one of those people, and you're committed to being the person that gets up over and over and over again, I promise you, you will be able to accomplish whatever you write down on that piece of paper that seems scary, that thing that maybe you don't want to say to everybody. In 2017, guys, we would have never told anybody that we wanted to move to the beach, because we knew they would have thought we were crazy. But we're like, you know what? That's okay. We're going to plaster this on our living room wall and look at it every day. And that way, whenever, we're getting tired and, it's so tempting to just go sit back and watch Netflix and, put my phone away for the night, I'm going to look up on my living room wall and I'm going to see move to the beach. And I'm going to be reminded I can't move to the beach if I'm not willing to put in the work, even when I don't feel like it. And if I'm being completely transparent with you guys, that was what kept me pushing so hard. People always ask, they're like, how did you start 2017 as a Ruby? And halfway through 2017, you're a triple diamond. And I'll tell you right now, the reason why, it was in my living room on my wall. And that's a mistake that in 2018, and I'm not saying it's a mistake to not put your dream board in your living room. Don't take that. You can put it wherever you feel like you need to put it. But for me personally, in 2018, I put mine in my office, and that was great. I spend a lot of time in my office, but it wasn't out there in the main part of my house where my family sees it. And that's one thing for 2019, I decided I'm doing differently. I'm putting it right back there in the main part of the house again, where we see it every day, all the time. And so I encourage you, you can definitely put it where you feel like is the best place for you. Put it somewhere you're going to see it. Put it somewhere where all your family's going to see it. Because that way, when you do have those crazy days, because they will come, you're going to look up and you're going to be reminded, like, okay, how I feel right now is so temporary, but what I went up there is not. And I can keep making good decisions today that push me closer and closer to that point. One thing too that I feel so strongly about is that it's so important, you guys, when we make these decisions, to not just write it down and not just get super excited about it now, but make a firm decision and have a strong resolve that we're going to stick to it way past January. Because here's the thing, so much is going to happen throughout the year. And as we all know, most people have already thrown in the towel on their New Year's resolutions and their goals by Valentine's Day. But if kind of going back to what we're saying about keeping it visible, so when those tough things come, you see it. If you are very aware that life is definitely not going to go your way 24/7, and there's going to be hiccups along the road, and you're expecting that, you've already committed in your mind, no matter what happens, I'm going to work through it. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to slow down. I'm going to neglect my feelings. I'm going to do what I have to do. Then you're going to be able to, be that person that, come March, April, May, when, life starts getting crazy. People are planning, for their summer vacations. People have so much stuff going on. You're still dedicated to your goals. You're still laser focused. And so I just encourage you, make a plan now to keep yourself accountable then when things get crazy, when kids get out of school and all those things happen. I love what Liz said in the comments when she said she stopped saying that she hoped and she started saying I am, and that's when she went double. And I know that so much of what I'm sharing is so similar to, her testimony she shared last month with us after her promotion. Like, you've got to just wake up and make that decision that it is 100% going to happen. As I was making plans for this Zoom today, I was just jotting down some notes about some things that I wanted to share. I was looking at my time hop on Facebook for what I posted. And 1 year ago today, I posted this quote from Mark Batterson. For those of you that don't know him, he's the author of Chase the Lion, of The Circle Maker, just like so many great books that we recommend a lot here in our company. But he said, hell begins the day God grants you the vision to see all you could have done, should have done, and would have done, but did not do. And that was a quote that literally I had at one point printed off in my office on my desk throughout the year, because it was just that constant reminder again, I don't want to arrive at the end of my life and know what else could, and be thinking, what else could I have done? I want to know at the end of my life, I did everything. I used everything the Lord gave me. Well, if that wasn't crazy enough, 2 years ago today, it was another Mark Batterson quote, and it said, at the end of our lives, our greatest regrets will be the God-ordained opportunities we left on the table, the God-given passions we didn't pursue, and the God-sized dreams we didn't go after because we let fear dictate our decisions. And again, those are both Mark Batterson. And I just wanted to say, choose this year to make sure that every decision you make is 100% out of faith, 100% out of what you want in life, not out of what you're scared of, not out of, fear. If you're anything like me, before I started this business, you guys, I was so worried about what people thought. I was so worried about what my family thought. I was so worried about what, people on Facebook thought. And maybe you're brand new and you're in that exact same boat right now. You're just terrified of what people think, and you're afraid to put yourself out there. You're afraid to go proudly tell your story. You're afraid to proclaim that crazy thing, I'll be a millionaire by January of 2020. But I want you to know, there's no satisfaction and there's no gain in settling and making yourself less to, not make anyone else uncomfortable. One thing that same book I keep referencing by Grant Cardone, Be Obsessed or Be Average, one thing he says over and over in the book is he says, whenever you are obsessed with the next level in life, you will make average people very uncomfortable. And you have to just be okay with it. He says average people who are very much riding the status quo, are very much uncomfortable around people who are driven and people who are running after success and who are not content, staying where they are. They're obsessed with growth. They're obsessed with being the best they can be. He was like, when you are that kind of person and you decide that is who you're going to be, you're going to be growing nonstop. Like, you will threaten the status quo. And because of that, they won't be comfortable around you. They won't like you. It'll make them feel very uneasy being around you. And he was like, but you have to know that's because they're trying to make sense of their own life. If they, have accepted just being average and giving up on their potential, it's not going to feel good being around someone who's chasing after their dreams. And I never really heard it put like that. And that's something that I wish personally I would have heard my first 6 months in the business, because I ran into, family members, thinking I was a little bit crazy, family members thinking I was a little bit too obsessed with what I was doing. And hearing him say that, it just clicked so well. And so I just encourage you, if you're new and that's something that you're battling with, is like, what your family members think, what your friends prior to this business thing, I just encourage you to keep that in perspective, that they're not going where you're going. And if God didn't give them your vision, you can't expect them to understand your hustle. And you have to be okay with the fact that they're not going to understand. Another thing too that he said, I'm trying to go on my notes, that he said regarding like just the average mindset is he said, anyone who is satisfied with their life has quit on their potential. The people who are making dreams a reality never believe they have enough or have done enough or accomplished enough. They're obsessed with the next level. And I want you to know that's why you see people like Erin Tweedy. She's someone I've looked up to from day one in this business. And she is number 7 income earner. When I started, she was number 9. And then the next year she was number 8. Now she's number 7. But that's why you see someone like her who just keeps fighting for more, even though they already have a ton, is because they're obsessed with the next level. And so anyways, moving on to what I was reading, he said, the people who have settled will try to persuade you to be satisfied and to stop trying. Why? Because they're trying to make sense of their own life. We live in a culture where quitting has become normal, but people will always fail because of how they think and because of how little they do. Average is a failing formula. If you inspect it closely, that's all it is. It's failure. And I thought that was just so good, because he was saying, we live in a culture where people think like, oh, I'm content being average. I don't have to have a lot. But he was saying, if you look at average is, oh, sorry guys, let me make sure everybody's muted. He said average is failure. He was like, it's plain and simple. It's people who have given up on their potential. They have so much they could be doing, but they're like, no, I'm content with just staying here. And again, that's a way that I never really had heard it put before, but I just really felt inclined to share it with you guys, because I think that it's something that, as your leaders, we don't always talk about enough. But I want you to know, when you are 100% committed to going after your dreams and going after what you want, and, going after just those God-sized goals that you're writing down that feel kind of scary to say out loud, you will come across adversity. But if you can go ahead and be at peace with that in your heart now, and know that God isn't going to bring you to this point just to leave you there. If he brings you here, he's going to take you to the next place, and he's going to keep walking with you every step of the way. When you have that peace in your heart and you have that strong resolve, it's going to be okay. You're going to be able to overcome those things with grace, and you're going to be able to overcome those moments with strength, and you're going to walk on the other side of it a stronger and a better person than you were before you dealt with it. And so I just want you to know, as you go into 2019, stay committed to staying true to who you are, no matter what you encounter, and stay committed to being that person that is brave no matter what life throws their way. I promise I'll stop quoting Grant Cardone. I saw Katie answer that in the comments. Thank you, Katie. It's called Be Obsessed or Be Average. But I'll stop quoting him eventually. But there was just so many gold nuggets I just really wanted to share, because it just tied so well into what I wanted to talk to you guys about. But he said something tonight. He said, the part that I was listening to right before I hopped on the Zoom, he said, it takes courage to make money. 80% of millionaires today are first generation millionaires, which means they did not stumble upon their wealth. They didn't inherit it. Like, they were self-made. They were the first of their, line to become a millionaire. And he just went on, just really drove that point home and said, it takes courage. Like, the reason that 1% of the population have 96% of the world's wealth is because they're the ones that are willing to do what it takes. They're the ones that are willing to put their feelings aside, that are going to stay committed, and that are going to rise up and be brave in the face of these, things that we don't want to have to deal with, but we do have to deal with when we're on the journey to success. And so that's about all that I wanted to share. I know I'm wrapping up a little bit early, but I don't want to keep rambling. I feel like that was, the gist of what I wanted to share with you guys. But I just want to say, just as we go forward and we, continue to just crush this month, like, just stay true to what you want, stay true to who you are, and don't get caught up looking at, you know, all these people who you feel like maybe you don't compare to. Learn from the people you look up to, learn from the people who inspire you. Never get to a point where you stop tuning into Zooms, where you stop, you know, watching trainings during the day. Just flood your mind with all that you can, and just be committed to being all that you can be. And that's where the magic happens. One thing that has just been something that I've tried to stay super self-disciplined from the time I got started, was just always learning from my leaders, because I know that if they are where they are in the business, then I can be too. You know, I know that they have my best interest at heart, that they're not going to lead me astray, and that if I just, you know, just remember the things that they're teaching me to do, and I'm always plugging in and committed to learning more from them and learning more from the people that, you know, are put in front of me, then I know that I can be equipped to do what I need to do. And so I just encourage you, if you're new and you're feeling like, okay, this is information overload, I'm so overwhelmed, but I get what you're saying, I'm excited about this. I just encourage you to put one foot in front of the other each and every day, and just be committed to learning a little bit each day. Because when you learn a little bit each day, and you grow a little bit each day, and get better and better, that is when you're going to find yourself, you know, starting 2020 in a completely different place than you are now. And so just remember, success doesn't happen overnight. It's something that you have to be willing to grow through the process of. I always like to tell people, like, think about when you have a baby. It's such a, you know, great feeling whenever you get to hold the baby in your arms for the first time. But the process of pregnancy isn't all that glorious. You know, we're, you know, nauseous, we're sick, you know, we have food aversions, we, you know, our back hurts. We're just going through so many different, you know, symptoms during pregnancy that aren't fun, but the end result couldn't be more worth it. But we couldn't, no matter how bad we felt in month 1 or month 2, we can't just pop a baby out and be like, okay, I'm done, I want to just get this process over with faster. We have to be willing to grow through that whole process. And then at the end of it, we have this beautiful baby. And, you know, any mama on here will tell you it's so worth it. They would do it again and again. Hence why you have people like me just keep continuously having kids. So that being said, it's the same thing with the business. It's not, you know, you can't just 1 month turn around and be a 6-figure income earner overnight, but you can do a little bit each day and commit to growing and continue and commit to always making progress. If you're always making forward motion and you're never going backwards because you're being super consistent, then you're going to find yourself in a good place a month from now, 6 months from now, and a year from now. But you're going to have to be willing to, you know, again, show up every day and do the things that not everyone is willing to do. One thing that I said a few quotes ago when I was talking about people walking away, but that doesn't mean you have to. I think that that's something that if there's anything I could leave you with, it's just some people will throw in the towel and they'll walk away from their potential. But if you decide right now that, like, okay, that's not who I want to be. Like, if these people can do it, if Brittany can do it, if Claire can do it, if Katie can do it, Sarah can do it, so can I. And you just go ahead and flip that switch right now, that quitting is not an option for me. It's not on the table. I promise you, you're just going to continuously see yourself making that progress that you want to see. Okay, sorry. I see a couple things in the chat. I was like totally focused on my left side of my screen. I didn't even see the chat. Let me look at this real quick. I think there's a couple questions. Michelle asked, what are your recommendations when responding to family or friends when they think you're crazy? Honestly, Michelle, if there's one thing that I've learned, is that you can't convince someone who is set in their ways. And I don't think it's a good use of my energy trying to convince someone, because again, they're not going where I'm going. And so the people that love you and have your best interest at heart, they're not going to put you down. I have had family members who maybe they're not customers or a part of the business at all, but they cheer me on. They're nice to me. You know, they have great things to say. But then I also have like a few cousins in the business. I mean, a few cousins of mine who are super negative about the business. But you know what? If they really have my best interest at heart, they wouldn't talk to me about that. They wouldn't talk to me like that. And so I think it's just really important to remember that, like, if you feel strongly about the calling God has placed on your life, then you don't owe anybody an explanation. And it's not a good use of your time trying to convince somebody who's set in their ways and has that negative opinion to convince them otherwise. The best thing that you can do is surround yourself with people who are going to call you higher, aka this team, and surround yourself with people who are going to speak life into you and who are going to, you know, run with you on the road to success. And later one day, all those family and friends who had those negative things to say and thought you were crazy, one day the joke's going to be on them. And I don't mean that in a mean way about them. It's the truth of the matter. Like, I had a cousin that literally called me after I went triple diamond last summer, and or summer of 2017. And she called me about a month later, and she was super negative when I went ruby, said some really mean things, called me after I went triple, and she said, I'm so sorry. She said, I'm really proud of you. You guys have done really great for your life, really great for you guys' life. She said, and I'll be honest, I never thought that that was going to come of this. And she said, I'm really sorry for all the things that I said to you. And I said, it's okay. I said, you know, I forgive you. And if I'm being completely transparent, we're not close even after that apology, because where I'm going, I am laser focused on where I'm going. And I need people who also have strong vision for their life. And I need people in my circle who are going to call me hired, who are going to, you know, just push me to be the very best person I can be. But you know what? I have forgiven her, and she apologized, and we're on good terms, and we can still see each other at family gatherings and hug, and everything's fine. And so God will work everything out in the end when we are who we need to be. And I'm a firm believer that vengeance is the Lord's. It's not our job to prove someone wrong. It's not our job to, you know, go and have the last word. It can be so easy to get caught up in those emotions. But when we do what we need to do, and we are who we need to be, the Lord will always take care of the rest. But like Mark Batterson says in literally every book that I've read of his, he says, God can't bless what you can't do. And so sometimes we get caught up so much in the emotions, you know, and carried away with other people that we forget, like, God's just sitting there saying, like, hey, are you going to like leave that alone and just come do what I've called you to do? And when we do what God's called us to do, he takes care of the rest every time. There has not been one negative thing that has happened to me in this business that God has not taken care of. And I can say that with strong conviction. And I know all your other leaders would say the same. But when we put all those emotions aside and we put our feelings aside, he'll always step in and bless you. So I hope that made sense. I know that was a little bit of a long answer, but if there's just anything, and that kind of applies to a lot of the stuff we were talking about tonight, but if there's anything I can say, it's just do your best. Give God something to bless, and he always will. But kind of like that quote at the end of our lives, our greatest regrets will be the God-ordained opportunities we left on the table, the God-given passions we didn't pursue, and the God-sized dreams we didn't go after. I just think that that's such an important thing to remember. If we lay everything we got out on the table, if we chase after every passion that God puts inside of our heart, and we go after every dream that he instills inside of us, then it's going to always work out for our good. But we have to be willing to do that. No one else can take that step for us. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up on that note, you guys. I don't see any other questions, but I love you guys so much. I'm so proud of this team. You guys have seriously just been so, we completely crushed 2018 and ended on just such a high note. And I know that we've carried that momentum into 2019. And I know this year is just going to literally blow last year completely out of the water. And I just can't even wait to see all the new leaders that we have rising up this year. And so I just want you to know, no matter how crazy that dream sounds, no matter, you know, how scary it can be to speak that out loud, I encourage you to go to your upline tonight and just tell them what you really want out of this year. Tell it to at least one person so they can hold you accountable. I remember texting Claire at the beginning of 2017 as a Ruby and telling her what I wanted out of that year, and her being so excited with me. And it's just such a great feeling when you have someone that you've said it out loud to, like it's out there now. They know that you want to do it, and that you're working for it, and they're going to be watching to make sure you do it too. And then they tell you, I believe in you. I know you can do it. And so that's another thing too, I would say, Michelle, just one more little quick answer is that all those things they're being negative to you about, go to someone who isn't going to think negatively of the things you want to do, and just let them tell you that you can, because there's power in just that positive influence in your life, and then telling you, I believe in you, I know you can do it, and I'm here to run with you and make it happen. So, all right, I'll get this recording uploaded soon to YouTube, you guys, for anyone that wasn't able to hop on live. But I love you guys so much. I hope everyone has a great rest of the night, and we will see you guys next Tuesday.